Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Cheeseman Podcast YouTube show, which we will convert to a podcast as well. This is Brendan, your host of the show. Before we get started, a big congratulations to Caller for the birth of his beautiful baby daughter. That's why he's not here. So a shout out to Caller. He may pop up in the comments later on, but congratulations, Caller. We're all very, very happy for you. With some fantastic guests to join me today to look back on a topsy-turvy week when Spurs are concerned with the transfer window. First up from the South Coast is John. How you doing, mate?
Hello, mate. You're right. My wife's gone out for the evening, so I've had to move into the house this evening. Hence, I've put a little background up because the lighting's not great in here. But yeah,
you're normally outside of that. She leaves you outside the house like the cat.
She does. Yeah. We converted our garage last year into an office, come playroom. So I'm normally in there, which is why it's normally cold. So the advantage is it's nice and warm in here because the central heating's on.
I'm glad your wife has let you feel the warmth of your house. Also joining is HG. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm just excited to talk about something that we know is not going to happen. How great is this?
Spurs, what a week. And also joining James. How you doing, man?
I'm great. Very excited.
He sounds it.
Looking proper gamer mode there as well. You're looking cool, man. And joining, I believe this is your debut, Paddy, is it? I'm sure.
First time. Yeah.
Paddy Hartner from Limerick Spurs. How you doing, mate?
Good. I'm good. A little bit annoyed, I suppose, but good, as could be expected.
Yeah, it's been one of those weeks, hasn't it? Like, what craziness. Crazy. We will crack into it. First of all, I want to tell you about our partner football prizes. As you know, we are brought to you with the support of footballprizes.co.uk, and they have some excellent prizes on offer this week. If you want to stick up the graphic, one of you. The first prize is a signed shirt from our glory years of 1995 to 1997 Spurs squad, the likes of Ian Walker, Jason Deville, Rory Allen, Teddy Sheringham, Rule Fox, the glory years. Signed custom frame shirt. Tickets are $5.95 each. There are 99 tickets available. I don't know how many are left. The competition ends Tuesday, the 1st of February at 7:30. With your promo code 10POD, I believe it is.
Pod 10. Pod 10.
I screwed it up already. Pod 10. You get 10% off. Also, for our patrons, they have a special 3 for 2 offer. So it's essentially a 30% discount, 33.3% discount if you become our patron. So it essentially pays to be part of our Patreon, which will support the podcast and our efforts overall. There is also another prize that we will talk about as well. It is a Tunnel Club prize. Got the graphic up there? Yep, there it is. You see my face to the side. So we have two tickets to Tunnel Club game of Man City versus Tottenham. If you remember, Man City copied us and installed a Tunnel Club at the Etihad. So we have 2 tickets for those for that game coming up on the 19th of February. Tickets cost $3.99. There are 199 tickets available. Again, the competition ends Tuesday, 1st of Feb at 7:30. And with your promo code POD10, is that right? Yes, you get 10% off. So thank you very much. Footballprizes.co.uk. Now let's get cracking. What a week, guys. What a week. I mean, first of all, we were expecting to have signed Adama Traore by now. And our very own ITK, the caller, announced on Twitter in dramatic fashion, Traore done, green tick. We won't go too hard on him. He's just had a baby.
Hang on a second. Caller's not done anything. Caller's got up at 6 o'clock in the morning and driven his partner to the local hospital. Caller's done. I'm very happy for him, but let's give his partner the credit for actually doing the work here.
Yeah. Shout out to Becky. Becky does all the work. Becky wears the trousers. Basically, the Traore situation, it looked quite farcical. It was kind of like one where, for me personally, I wasn't overly enthralled, but they won me over. It's a bit like Nuno. At the beginning, I was like, oh. And then when it happened, you're like, right, well, I can see the positives. But it was just a mess from start to finish, and Barcelona have got him now. Are you bothered?
Am I bothered? Look, and people who watch the show regularly will know that I talked myself into this being a good idea, but I was never really keen. I think he would have been better as a right wing back than the ones we've got. But for the money and the whole loan is option or mandatory, like I don't know. I never wanted him, and so I wasn't too upset when it turned out he picked Barcelona instead of us. I don't blame him for doing it. It's just one of those things. So, like, yeah, you're right. I'm not massively upset. It would be, you'd always wonder what if when we spend the next 4 months watching our right backs unable to move forward with the ball. But yeah, I'm not too upset.
Yeah. James, how about you? You're a football manager expert, according to John. So is he any good on Football Manager? And how are you feeling about it? Were you excited? Because it is an area we need to strengthen, but was he the right guy for it?
Well, I mean, I think realistically, he could have been the right player. But I don't, well, he chose to go to Barcelona for way less money. That was his decision. So I don't think it's any fault necessarily of the club. I mean, if he wants to go to Barcelona, he wants to go to Barcelona. Would he have been the best player? He could have certainly done a job. My only worry is he does look a lot like Bergwijn in some ways. We say, oh, we could play him as a right wing back. I don't know. You could technically play Bergwijn as a right wing back. I don't know how good an idea it is. He's not particularly competent defensively, I don't think. But I mean, it's frustrating because we all wanted to see something happen, and Conte obviously wanted him, and the fact that it hasn't happened is annoying. But he's not a unique one of a generation player necessarily. He's not a player that would have made us win the Champions League. So we'll just sign someone else, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, Paddy, sorry, go on then.
It's just weird. Like, had Barcelona not come in for him, I think he'd have joined Spurs. Like, I think if the option was, bench at Wolves versus maybe playing a different role at Spurs, he may well have come to Spurs. But I don't think Adama's heart was really in a long-term deal anyway. I think he'd have been happy with loan just to see. Because, again, he's 25, 26? So he's approaching that kind of time where I want to get a good contract. I want to get the right club. And, so I do think he'd have left Wolves for us, but I'm glad that he's gone to Barcelona.
Paddy, you're very active on Twitter. You get a lot of engagement and you do interact, which is always good to see. There's been a bit of a meltdown on Twitter this week because of the sort of failed deals, and we'll get onto the Luis Diaz debacle afterwards. How do you gauge the reaction? Do you think that people are overreacting? Is he really a player that we wanted?
No, I don't. The one thing I find kind of with Traore, right, is that people say Conte wanted him. I don't think Conte wanted him, because if you go back about 6, 7, 8 months, Spurs were still interested in him. They were. So me personally, I don't think, and I think a lot of people are thinking the same. They're kind of going, he wouldn't have been a Conte signing. He would have been a Hitchin Paratici, or however you pronounce his name, signing. I don't think he would have been a Conte signing. Now, moving to right wing back, maybe so. The only positive I could see with him signing would have been flying down the wing. His end product is shocking. It is. And the stats prove that it has. But the only positive I could have taken from him signing was the space he would have created. Because every single time every single time he went down that wing, you're guaranteed he would have drawn 2 players out to mark him, to try and stop him from getting the ball, which in turn should or could have created space for Kane and for Son in the box. But I'm not disappointed he's gone to Barcelona. I'm not bothered. I'm not.
Can't really blame him either. Like it's one of the stats that you mentioned as well. Like you're right. His end product, like, it's 7 goals or 8, maybe 8 goals in 160 games in the Premier League. That's not a great return. His assisting stats similar. His dribbling stats though were impressive. He's up there with successful dribbles. So, John, how about you in terms of Adama crying, or you good?
If we don't sign anyone, then yes, I'm a little bit annoyed. He would have improved the squad ultimately, but is he a player long term that's going to take us that next level? I don't know. I certainly don't see him as a right wing back. That would have been a bit of a strange. He could have done the odd game there, but not the season. But then we're crying out for a decent right wing back because it's obvious Emerson is a right back, not a right wing back. and Doherty's been a bit meh so far. Obviously, he had a good game at Leicester, but he was played as the right wing against Chelsea, and well, he was left to drown, wasn't he? Really, as was Sessegnon. But ultimately, he's gone to his boyhood club. He was there as a lad. It's where he was born. And they're a much bigger club than Spurs. So I don't think we can blame the board on this one. I think this is ultimately his choice. The weird thing I've seen today is that the suggested fee at the end of the loan is almost 30 million, whereas we were talking at 22.5 million, I think. So is that because we didn't offer enough, or Wolves have just managed to bargain Barca better? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I just noticed I haven't done the proper admin for the YouTube. So viewers, super chats are live, as are stickers. So do get involved. Do send us your comments and your questions, and we'll get to them. Super chats are the only way you can guarantee your question will be asked. So yeah, also, John, there was a caption competition you wanted to show up.
Oh yeah, I think this is one for everyone to put in the comments. What do you make of this? Let's have a caption contest on this, and we'll come back to it later in the show.
It's magic. It's magic. Look at him.
It's brilliant. There we go.
So the second disappointment this week, it looks like Liverpool are going in for Luis Diaz, and apparently they were in for him in the summer, and our interest sort of forced the issue and got them back. And again, with Adama, if you're choosing between Spurs and Liverpool and Spurs and Barcelona, you're probably going to go to Barcelona and Liverpool. Right? Paddy, the Luis Diaz ones, again, he's a player. I go to Portugal quite a lot. He's not a player I knew too much about. Seeing the YouTube highlights, he looks the biz. But again, he's sort of a player that sprung up out of nowhere.
He definitely would have been a better option than Traore, 100%. But the one thing I do want to say, and it's what I've been told, is that, and to be fair to Spurs, now, me personally, again, I think it was the agent that leaked it. I think this was purely done. He approached Spurs purely to kickstart Liverpool's interest back on him again, because initially Liverpool didn't want him until the summer. They didn't. So as soon as Spurs came in and showed interest, I think myself, the agent leaked it. So that triggered Liverpool to push that deal forward to this window. Now, Spurs did offer exactly what Liverpool offered. So all these things of Daniel Levy being a stingy shit and all that, fine, there's argument for it. But with this deal, he 100%, or Spurs 100% offered exactly. They matched what Liverpool offered, and he wanted to go to Liverpool. You can't stop him. I mean, look, at the end of the day, and it pains me to say it as a Spurs fan.
In Ireland as well. You're
a player, and Liverpool come in for you, and Spurs come in for you, and you see the shit show that Spurs is. Now, Liverpool's owners aren't exactly loved by the fans either. They're not. But they get business done, and when they do it right. They do. I mean, if you go back to the time Liverpool, they bought Alisson and Van Dijk. That was all they needed. They were the two weakest spots they had. The owners gave them the money, said, get the players.
The Coutinho money bought them. It was nothing. It was just good management.
Yeah, but that's the thing with Liverpool or the difference between Liverpool and Spurs, as in it's also the recruitment. It is. But going back to I drifted away there. Going back to Diaz, I just felt I had to say that Spurs. This was not Spurs' fault. This was totally down to the player and the agent, and I firmly believe that the agent leaked the story just to get that move to Liverpool sped up from now or from the summer to now. Definitely.
Sure.
Do I think?
Go on, sorry.
Do I think he certainly would be an improvement? He would. And
but improvement where? Sorry, because he plays to the left of the front three, and that's where Sonny plays, cutting in and going on to the right. So he'd be great. I would love him. He'd be a great player, but it just didn't seem like the right fit for us.
It was a weird one, and it certainly wasn't the area that we needed improvement in. Okay, but I've often said, if you go back to the time of Fergie United and at the prime United, every single year they got one or two players in that improved the squad. Very few were sold. They still had their star players, but it always kept the star players on their toes. and that's what Spurs haven't done for years. Most of the players we have in the squad now are complacent because they know they've no one there to push them for their spot. If they have a poor game, they're kind of going, no, I'm guaranteed to start next week because I don't have anybody watching my back. I've no one. You see, so we don't have, and that's why I think someone like Diaz. I mean, look, Son hasn't been lighting up the Premier League either this year. He's been doing very well, but not to the standard that we expect of him. Yeah. He's not. And to be fair, it's been the same with Kane as well. Kane hasn't been. Oh no, he is coming back into form. Thankfully, he is. But I just feel we need one or two key signings to kind of to push the rest of the team on, to put them on their toes.
Actually, where did you sit on the Luis Diaz deal?
Well, I mean, I brought up Phil's question or statement here because it's absolutely true. I mean, Luis Diaz is 24, but he was playing in Colombia until 21, 22. He's only been at Porto for not that long, maybe a couple of years. And had we tried to get him in the summer, people would have been, well, why? What has he done to deserve this attention? So, again, I kind of feel like it's not an area of need. Yes, it's nice to know that we're going to go out and try and spend lots of money on certain players. But I wasn't looking for a player like that. I'm not looking for a player like certainly who plays on the same side that Sonny seems to be playing. Now you could obviously switch Sonny to the other side, and because I think Lucas, frankly, should be becoming a squad player rather than the first 11 player. But yeah, it wasn't really where I want to be spending the money. Like if Spurs don't have pots and pots of it, which it appears we don't, and we do have a lot of needs, right? It's not as if we're one or two players away from really getting a full class squad. We're 6, 7, 8 players away from maybe having the squad that I want to see. So spending that much money on someone who, again, you just don't know how they're going to respond to life in England. It felt like a massive risk we don't need to be taking. So again, we can talk about all night that Liverpool are a better club than Spurs right now. We know that's true, and I don't blame Diaz for wanting to go to Liverpool over Spurs. But again, I feel as if if Liverpool hadn't been interested, he would have made the move to Spurs. I think he's interested in, maybe his first deal. He would make a lot more money at Spurs than he does at Porto. It was just a case of, and I do think that, as we talked about, the agent went to Liverpool and said, hey, look, we're really close to joining Spurs. We're going to do it. So it's now or never for you. And Liverpool decided to bite the bullet and pay the money. That's the call. That obviously the agent's got the best deal for his client. That's what you expect an agent to do. And it sucks for Spurs, but as a deal of itself, I don't want to spending, was it 50 odd million pounds on a guy that doesn't really or massively improve the team. It just moves everyone around a bit. So I'm not upset that one hasn't gone through either.
James, the football manager expert, is he any good there as well?
It's not brilliant. Do you know who he strikes me as? He strikes me as another João Felix, but like a worse João Felix, who I never rated, by the way. I don't know. It's really risky signing anyone from Portugal. They could be a Bruno Fernandes or they could be a Jedson Fernandes. You don't know. It's kind of luck of the draw, isn't it? And I don't know. It's a lot of money for a position that I don't really think we need to spend money on. Like the front line is probably 4th on my list of priorities behind a centre-back, a right wing-back, a midfielder. I mean, there's so many other issues in the squad. I think spending probably, let's be honest, the next 10 years budget on one kind of position we don't really spend any money on seems a bit as if we're just going for players that are available and not players that fix or address any issues with the team. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah.
So.
One player that does look like he may be coming, because you look at it, we've got to bring in a couple at least, if for no other reason than to placate the fans. You've got Daigle and others sort of organising protests outside the training ground. I don't know. Does anyone know much about Amrabat? I watched one game of Fiorentina against Milan, I think, when I was in Mexico in November. He's the sort of he's either bald or has a skinhead, and he looked pretty decent. He gets about. He's combative. He did stand up. He might have been his bald head, but it stood out for me. You know much about him?
To be fair, not a great deal. No, like I actually, weirdly enough, I know him when he was playing in Holland, because he's Dutch born, I think. But I know he's been around Europe, played in different leagues. But I do think he's the type of player that Conte feels that we need. And Liverpool, I do think that Conte wants to have someone who's a bit more steady at the back of the midfield three or two that he wants to play. I do think Conte's going to go for a 3-5-2 at some point, and I think he wants someone to do what we saw with Inter with Brozovic, just kind of sit there, pass, tackle, but nothing crazy. Like Brozovic didn't score a load of goals, Amrabat doesn't score a load of goals, and it may well have just been an extra, because if he wants to get rid of Dembele or Celso or both or whoever, then you need to have someone in. And you can look back and say that, well, they picked Romero because he was the Serie A Defender of the Year. Well, I think the season before that, Amrabat was really high up in the ratings for the Player of the Season in Serie A when he played at Verona. So it's clearly someone that they know and that they trust. And they thought, okay, well, it's a low risk deal. You get him on a loan with an optional fee. If it works really well, then I'm sure we pay the money. I said that about Galini, and I don't think we'll pay the money now. But it's that kind of idea. But like, if it's bodies that we need, which I do think we do, then Amrabat is someone that I would happily take. If Conte knows him and Paratici knows, that's enough for me. Because I personally, I think that is an area of weakness that we should be trying to strengthen.
You said that, but you said we need a DM. But surely Højbjerg and Skip, are they not DMs by trade?
By trade, they can do it in the same way that Winks can do it. I don't think any of them are really comfortable doing it or want to do it. Like we've seen, we all know with Denmark in the Euros that Højbjerg was better with Delaney next to him, and Delaney was the one who sat, and Højbjerg went forward and got involved in creating chances and scoring goals. So yes, like we have defensive midfielders that can do it, but I don't think that I want to have one who's comfortable, who just wants to be like a Carrick and sit there and pass the ball and say, right, I'm gonna get there, I'm gonna win it, and I'm gonna give it to other players, and we can then attack from that. I don't think that Skip can do it better than Højbjerg, if I'm honest. But I think that both Skip and Højbjerg have the ability to be a bit better going forward. And yeah, again, it's about bodies right now. Like I don't think that Amrabat will be a 2-3 year player for Spurs. It may well just be 6 months. But I'm okay with that because we need to have some variety and some options. Because why not? Why not do it for 6 months? What have we got to lose?
John, some of the comments coming, I think Caller has been putting them up, that he was voted third best player in Serie A in 1920 season. So that's not too shabby. I'm sure Galini was probably on that list as well.
I have to admit, I didn't know that. But I have heard in recent days, there's more and more rumours that this is someone that actually Conte did want, whereas obviously we've already discussed that maybe Traore was just someone that he was accepting to fill the role. So, it's weird he hasn't played much this season, but I think HG's right. We need a different option in that midfield. We also need a playmaker, and he's not a playmaker, but if he can give us something different, as much as anything, we're going to, it looks like we're probably going to get rid of at least 2 of the 3 midfielders going out. So we need an extra body in, especially as, we all had high hopes for Niall John at the beginning of the season. He's now gone out. So, maybe if it's another loan, 6 months to look at him and then decide, actually, is this guy going to be any good? I mean, his brother wasn't particularly brilliant at Watford. Not that it makes much difference, does it? But
whose brother, sorry, at Watford?
Amrabat's brother was at Watford.
Was he?
Years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Amrabat's brother was a winger, like a wide midfielder winger type, called Nordin, and then Sofyan is his younger brother. But I think they're both Dutch born, and they've just had weird careers around Europe. But Amrabat did have a good season with Verona, got the move to Fiorentina, but hasn't ever really been first choice there. It doesn't make him a bad player. It just means that for whatever reason he's not being picked. But if Paratici and Conte think that he can help us, then for a low-risk loan, why not? Why not?
Well, one area, Paddy, that we do need to strengthen is a backup striker. So we have been linked with the Swedish player. I've got to try and pronounce his names. Kulusevski, is that right?
Yeah.
Paddy, other than YouTube, have you seen much of Kulusevski? Did he even play in the Euros?
I can't remember him in the Euros. I can't. Now, I've asked a few people about him, and it hasn't been glowing reports. But they've also said that because of who's in front of him where he is now at the moment, he's not getting many chances. He's not. So this could be it could be a decent backup signing, but that's all we need. It is just somebody, because it's inevitable before the season is out, one of Kane's ankles are going to go. It happens every season. So it'll be a miracle if it doesn't happen this year. Hopefully not, touch wood. But if it does, at least we have somebody that will kind of, I suppose, push him as well at the same time. It is. Now, is he long term? I don't know. I don't know a hell of a lot about him. I don't. But fans are going to see him as a cheaper option again. There. I think a lot of fans' minds have been changed so much in the past. Since the 1st of January, when we were linked with this player, been linked with that player, next thing is, no, he's gone here, or no, he's gone there, he's turned down Spurs, and all this kind of crap. And fans believe everything they see on Twitter, which really bugs me. It does. No matter what page puts it up, yeah, they're in for it. And he's not. 9 times out of 10, Spurs or players or the club aren't in for any of these players.
It's hilarious, isn't it? Everyone gets angry when another team signs someone. And like, oh, look at them, Levy. Oh, they've just signed someone. We went in for them.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I was disappointed when I saw, I know I'm going to try and pronounce his name, Vlahovic.
Yeah.
I was disappointed when I saw him signing for Juventus, because I was going, Jesus, Levy, get the checkbook out, get this player in. But would he really come to Spurs? I doubt it. I doubt it very much. And then when he did sign, I was annoyed, but happy at the same time, because that meant then he wasn't going to Arsenal, because that was my main concern as well. It was. I actually thought that would have been something that they would have pulled off. Because let's be honest, their fans aren't too happy either with the way they're being run. So this would have been a marquee signing to get them back on side. And it would have flipped, I reckon, a lot of Spurs fans onto the other side of the fence. It would have. So thankfully, he went to Juventus and not Arsenal.
Yeah, exactly. They look like dicks in this situation as well. So it's fine that we do too. So.
To be honest, a lot of clubs, I mean, no, and I'm as bad as anybody for kind of getting hyped. But what I've tried to teach myself an awful lot lately is calm down before you actually tweet. Because sometimes you can tweet in anger and you just look like a complete fool. As I've been like a complete fool plenty of times. I have. But there's only 2 teams that have done business this year, or this window. Villa and Newcastle. That's it. I don't think any other team has done business. They haven't. So, I mean, for Spurs fans to go, well, Levy's doing this and Levy's doing that, and Conte's going to walk, that's another thing. Conte isn't going to walk. He's not. Conte's here. Conte's here for the period of his contract. The only way, and I know this for 100%, the only way Conte will walk is if he's not back in the summer. That's the only way he'll walk. But he will be back in the summer. From what I know, he will be back in the summer. He will.
Yeah. No, he will. HT, you were on Facebook about Kulusevski, that he is Tottenham's chasse du jour. Is that taste of the day?
Yeah, chase. Yeah, not Shaz. Chase. That was the English bit.
Okay, sorry. I thought the chase bit was in French as well. Okay.
No, I don't know what chase is in French. Every day there's a new link, right? It was Adama 2 days ago, and then yesterday was Luis Diaz, and today the Kulusevski rumor has run. I like Kulusevski a lot, and I know plenty don't, but there's something like when I've seen him play, he looks confident on the ball. Like he hasn't got the chances at Juve, but again, he's 21, right? Like Juve are going to spend their money and buy players, and not all of them are going to play every game. Like Vlahovic will be the main man because they don't have a striker. With Morata will go, and then Vlahovic will obviously take over. But when it comes to Kulusevski, like they had other players. They've got Chiesa on the side. They had Bernardeschi. Kulusevski is just another one of those players, and he wasn't getting as many minutes as he could have done. He's had a lot of substitute appearances over the last 18 months since he joined. I think there's something about him. Like I said, he's 21, right? There's a lot for him, considering he's achieved quite a bit in his career so far. You don't get to Juventus at that age if you're rubbish. You know, like Paratici obviously was involved in signing him for Juventus, but I do think that Kulusevski, to me, is the type of player that I really want to see join Spurs. I also think that he's the type of player that we might need. We talked about, Luis Diaz being kind of groomed for the Sun spot or being in competition. Well, Kulusevski would play the other side, as I said earlier, I think we need to try and get better from Lucas. Lucas is decent and does a few things very well, but I want to be improving that area of the squad, that area of the team, as far as I'm concerned. So I like the idea of it. If it's a loan, with an option or loan mandatory in the summer, okay, I don't really care. I just want someone, and I think he's good to stay long term. I think that's why I'm more excited about it. Because Adama, I didn't really care either way. Amrabat, I don't really care. But with Kulusevski, I've seen him enough to think that I would like him to be at Spurs for the next 3, 4, 5 seasons.
Well, I've only seen his YouTube highlights, and they've looked okay. He's just, again, he's not been playing that much. One player as well that hasn't been playing that much, hasn't been scoring that much, is Alvaro Morata, and apparently we're in for him. Let's go to you, John. Do you believe that, or is that just bullshit?
No, I think it's rubbish. I think it's just a case of links going out there. From what I understand, he didn't have a particularly brilliant relationship with Conte at Juve. He's ex-Chelsea. If he was banging in the goals, then I'd say, great, let's get him. But he hasn't banged in goals really, has he? Big time for a long, long time. And he's on quite a big wage lump as well, I think. So I think it's just a case of agents probably trying to put stories out there to try and get the player on loan somewhere. Because supposedly Barca couldn't sign him because they need to get rid of players, but then they've gone and signed Traore, which is a bit of a weird one. But yeah, I can't see that happening. I'll be amazed if he came into us.
Yeah. And the thing with Morata is that I think he's still an Atletico Madrid player. He's only on loan at Juventus as it is.
Yeah, he is.
So it's one of those things like I'm sure Madrid don't want him. They don't need him. They've got various strikers themselves. They've already got Griezmann and Suarez and Joao Felix and Correa and a whole bunch of others. So they'll want to move him on. The question is, where else is he going to go? Who needs a striker? Spurs do. That's why we're linked with him. I don't think it's anything else than that. And he's played for Conte before, so it makes a bit of sense. Do you want to spend 6 months with Kane as your only number 9? Would you rather have Morata as an option instead of Scarlett? I guess I would if that was my choice. But yeah, I don't think it's something that we're actively progressing. I think that would be a, if we can't do anything else type thing. And even then, he might choose Barcelona because apparently they do want him too.
They want Morata. Oh,
yeah, apparently. I mean, I've read that. There's so many things that I've read. I read in the German press that Dortmund are after Dele, and I don't believe a word of that. So, do you know what I mean?
Do Barcelona not fancy a Sumbalunga so they can have the entire Middlesbrough front line?
Braithwaite, Traore, and Assemble. That is some good knowledge, James.
All gone to Barcelona. That'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
Paul, I'm sorry, Paul. Paul Muir has sent us a super chat. Thanks, Paul. I'll come to you, Paddy, with this one because I know that you also question, reading your tweets, you also question has Don Paratici, does he deserve the Don title? Do you think he's been a failure? Is it too soon even to sort of judge? Do you think he's been a failure? Because, as Paul said, Nuno appointment, lack of movement in and outs. And again, are we judging too soon? But what are your overall thoughts on Paratici?
First of all, he doesn't. This Don Paratici. He's not a Don. No, look, he's had 7 months. He's been with Spurs 7 months. Okay, not an awful lot of time to change things around. Okay, but if you look at the signings he's brought in, none have impressed yet. They haven't. Bar Romero, I'm kind of hoping is going to be one that's going to kind of be a star. Will be our Toby or Jan in defence along with Dyer or whoever else they get in. So I'll give him that one, but that's it. That's it. I mean, the 2 other players he's brought in we're looking to get rid of already on loan. We are. He wanted Nuno. He was the person who pushed for Nuno. He was. That didn't work. It didn't. And as I said, he's had 7 months. So if you've had 7 months to work with a squad and work on the football side of the business, which is what he's supposed to do, he really should have known what would or what should have been needed leading up to this window. I'm still I'm still mixed about him. As in, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt because he's only been there for a short period. But at the same time, I don't want to see him sign what I call project players. Well, they're 21 or they're 18, 19, 20, 21, and we'll see something from them in 3 years' time. No, we don't need that now. We can't afford that now. As in not money, not monetary-wise, we just can't afford it. We can't. But we need players that can literally come in and hit the road running. Now, I know buying any players is gambling anyway. That's just football. It is. But he needs to be an awful lot more cuter. He does. So far, he hasn't sold himself to me so far to say, yeah, he's going to really change our transfer structure, the football structure. Not yet, anyway.
So John, sorry, John, what are your thoughts? Because in terms of in and outs, so outs have been Aurier, Lamela, Joe Hart. Who am I missing?
I can't remember now. I mean, no one can really argue with any of those going out, can we? Ultimately, I think getting rid of those guys was good. Oh, Alderweireld, obviously, but he wanted to go. I mean, him alongside Romero, back three would have been good for Alderweireld, wouldn't it?
Mm.
But, he wanted to go, didn't he? He wanted more time with his family, live in the sun, get paid a fortune for it. So you can't really blame him for that. But yeah, the outs so far have been all right. The worry is the ins. Emerson looks a strange one. Very strange one to me. I think Brian Hill, there's potential there. I think there is a player. I mean, it's mentioned in the comments. Why are we loaning him to Valencia? Is it because they're the only team that want him? Surely it make more sense to loan him to an English-based team.
Yeah.
But maybe Valencia are willing to pay us a fair loan fee, and it will help us in the long run. But only helps if we get somebody else in to the squad that's an attacking type player.
No, we could sit there and talk about Brian. Sorry, Brendan. But yeah, you're right. Brian hasn't really had the opportunities. He's had a couple of injuries. He's played a few games in the Conference League. None of us really know what he can and can't do. I don't think he's a right-sided player, but that's where he's played most of the time at Spurs. Yeah. So, you can look at Emerson and think, you have played quite a lot of football, and yes, it's new to you. The league is new. You don't really know English football, and it takes time to adapt. But all the other players haven't really had a chance. Romero's been injured, and so even though I think Romero is the best of them all, because I felt like he really adapted quite quickly and was happy to be a Premier League player and fitted what we were trying to do. It is weird that the other signings who you'd have thought would have been eased into the team never really got that opportunity to play Premier League minutes. Is it because they got injured at the wrong time? Maybe. Now we've got a change of manager. We don't really know the situation. But yeah, I wouldn't be sending Brian on loan because Conte needs to have time with him. If Conte decides after another 6 months, okay, I'm not going to play you very much, you're not going to get a chance, and if you do get a chance, you're going to be substitute right wing back, then okay, then he'll need to move on. But it does feel weird because when you see him down the left, he looks all right to me. It just we haven't, when you only play with wing backs and we've got Sessegnon and Reguilon as well, then when is Brian really going to come in? Is he going to be a midfielder in a three? I guess that's possible, but he's not a striker. So where is he going to play in whatever system Conte wants to use? It's a weird one.
James, do you think that a lot of the challenges that Paratici faces are the fact that he's working with Daniel Levy, who essentially still makes the decisions? I mean, he can say I'm passing on the footballing side to Fabio, but he still signs the checks. The final decision is with Levy, and we know what he's like with transfer windows. You know that he's always going to delay. There's going to be hesitancy. There's going to be not going that extra mile, or even an extra inch in the case of Jack Grealish, for example, Bruno Fernandes, Joao Montijo, Dybala. The list goes on. So do you think that Paratici's success or otherwise is still linked to the fact that he's working under Daniel Levy?
The number one most important thing to Daniel Levy is balancing the books, okay? Now, that means that Paratici, however, isn't going to have an insane amount of money to spend. So what he can essentially do with the money he does have is, especially considering I don't I don't think he thought Nuno was going to be at Spurs for years and years and years. Maybe he did. I don't know. But what it seems to me like he's done is he's found a bunch of players who he's thought, you could all be quite good in the future. So I'm going to sign you now in the hope that you'll get better and we can sell on some of you so that in a few years' time we can make a profit, which if he has no substantial funds, makes sense. That's what I'd do if I was playing Football Manager. But they are all very Football Manager-y signings. They aren't players that fix a weakness in our team. They're just, you could make me some money in 2 years if we sell you on. Which, you know, if that's what the approach Levy wants him to take, there's not a whole lot he can do about that. If he hasn't got very much money to spend, there's not much he can do about that. But it just doesn't seem like we're fixing the issues with the squad. So, well, he kind of is. I mean, if any of us worked with bloody Daniel Levy, we would. Now, I'm not going to start a whole tirade about that or anything, but to some extent, he's not in charge. He doesn't run the club. Levy does. So
I don't know whether it's because it feels that we have more time this January than others. Because I've never been this invested in a January transfer window, but it feels like a lot of Spurs fans have understood that, okay, in January now, you're unlikely to get players that really, really help your team. Because the selling club has to have a reason to want to sell. And we can look at Coutinho going to Villa and Dean going to Villa and think they're two good players, which they are. But, you know, Barcelona wanted Rid desperately just to get the wages off the book so they could register Ferran Torres. And Everton, incredibly, wanted to get rid of Luka Dean 4 days before they sacked their manager. So it is weird. Like, I think Luka Dean is a better player than Reguilon or than Sessegnon, but we weren't going to spend money there. Like, it just wasn't going to happen. So I think we're now realizing that January transfers are either people who are willing to leave 6 months before their contract ends and give up a substantial payday in doing so, or unwanteds. I mean, that's basically it. That's what you're seeing moving. Vlahovic, it was wanted by Fiorentina, but he told them he wasn't going to sign a new deal, so they took the money. And that's the situation. Like, Spurs are almost thinking, okay, like if I'm planning for next January, I'm looking at the contract expiry situations of various players and thinking they are the ones that might move in January. I might get lucky and someone that I really like is not wanted by their club and they'll sell to me. But pretty much you're looking to try and game the system, if only for the next 6 months. It is interesting. You know, Spurs don't sign players in January anyway. Not really. I mean, Jensen Fernandez and Bergwijn were the last two. Did we sign anyone last January? I don't remember. Last January feels about 5 years ago in football terms because Jose was still manager. So I've really got no idea what happened. But it does feel like every Spurs fan is getting a bit of a crash course in how the January transfer window doesn't really work. And yeah, I don't know if I like it or not, but I do feel like I'm learning something.
We have 151 people watching, and how many likes, John?
Oh, I was just looking up transfers. Sorry, give me a second. 46 apparently.
46. Hang on, 157. Come on, please, guys. Please give this a like. If you're enjoying what you're watching, give us a like. It really helps the channel. Come on. Right, let's move on to outs. We've done ins. We've done Paratici. Let's look at our outs. Apparently, Dele is wanted by half the Premier League. So we've got Newcastle, Southampton, Brighton, and Palace all linked to Dele. Paddy, do you see him leaving this window?
Yeah, I think he'll be gone by Monday.
Yeah.
Where, I'm not 100% sure, but I think he'll be gone by Monday. And to be honest, it's better for him. I adored Levy. Jesus.
Someone clip that.
Freud has entered the room.
I adored Dele. He was unbelievable. He was, but calling a spade, he's done nothing for us in the past 3 years. He hasn't. He's just declined. Whether something, look, I know people kind of say, well, it's his social media or what he's selling and all that kind of stuff. We don't know. We don't know what's going on in his own personal life. And people kind of go, well, he's a millionaire. Just because he's a millionaire doesn't mean things can't affect him. He can't. He's got a brain the same as everybody else he has. But I just feel that for for the goodness of Spurs and the goodness of his career, he needs to move on. And I do think it'll be Monday. I think that'll be the last time you'll see him linked with Spurs, because once he goes on loan, he won't be coming back. Now, where he's going to go, I don't know. I actually don't know. Newcastle, I can't see them going for him. I don't think Dele will go to Everton because they're in a relegation fight. Maybe Brighton, but is that a club he'd want to go to as well? There's no one else.
One thing is also Ndombele to PSG, which apparently they're going to pay all his wages as well. John, that just seems too good to be true. Surely, I mean, it would solve so many problems. Is Poch still doing us a number? Does he still love us?
Apparently, Poch wants him. I think the reason that hasn't gone through yet is obviously we are wrangling over if they're going to pay all his wages or not. I imagine PSG are going to drag this out, hoping that we'll pay half of it or something. They're in the strong position. They know we are desperate to get rid of him.
The 179.
Yeah. But yeah, as I say, they know that we're desperate to get rid of him. So if I was PSG, why would you pay 100% of his wages? Bearing in mind, there's no real other clubs in for him. I know Valencia were loosely linked, but they're not going to pay 200k a week, are they? So even if we get 100k a week off the wages, it's a good thing, because as a player, he's not going to play for us definitely this season, if ever again.
I hope never again.
Yeah.
The thing is, we've seen, like Xhaka, for example, he was booed off the pitch as well, and there was acrimony there between fans and player. He did come back and do a job, but HD, do you see a future for Tongi, or are the riches of PSG going to save us?
I mean, the big difference between Tongi and Xhaka is that Xhaka had a manager that really wanted him to hang around. Arteta liked Xhaka, and clearly Conte doesn't feel that way about Tongi. So I think Tongi will go. I think PSG, if they're willing, the thing is, if PSG are willing to pay all his wages, then the deal's done. The issue is that PSG want to get rid of a player or two because for whatever reason, but they want to have, they don't want to pay for someone like Paredes or Draxler, whoever it is that's on the outskirts of their squad, because it does seem very much PSG oriented, and Tongi might have other options, but if he's waiting for PSG, it's going to be a deadline day thing for them. But I think Tongi wants out. I think Spurs will take whatever they can from PSG. It's really a question of whether PSG decide that they have the space to bring him in. I don't know what their European squad looks like, but I can imagine if they really want Ndombele, then they'll say to one of those players, "You won't be in our Champions League squad for the second half of the season, and we're not going to pick you for Ligue 1 games because frankly, we'd rather have the other guy in." That sucks, but that's probably what football clubs will do if they really want to get a player out of their club.
So, sorry, can Tongi then be in their Champions League? Because he's played for us in the Europa Conference. He can still play Champions League, yeah?
Yeah, but basically, the only rule is that you can't play against a team that you've already played for, right? So you can play in the same competition for two different teams as long as one of those teams is no longer in that competition. So you take Erling Haaland, for example. Dortmund started in the Champions League. They're now in the Europa League. So in theory, he could sign for any Champions League team and play this season, but he couldn't sign for Man United because he could sign for Man United, but he couldn't play in the Europa League because Dortmund are still in that competition. It's a bit complicated, but it's basically you can't play against the team you've already played for.
Okay, good to know. And thank you for the blank super chat from Davo there.
Try again, Dave. I think you forgot a 9. Add a 9 on the end and see what happens.
He's on a beach. He's enjoying his first day of freedom in 2 weeks, having been locked down after his boys had COVID and he's had COVID. So, yeah, bless him.
I'll let you guys play with the comments for a second. I'll talk to Paddy. Paddy, apparently, Lo Celso is being looked at by Lyon as a replacement for Bruno Guimaraes, who is on his way to Newcastle, which is mental because he's actually decent. But I was annoyed seeing Guimaraes go to Newcastle. But again, it may solve an issue for us. Apparently, according to The Athletic, Lo Celso isn't the most popular player in our squad. How they know that, I don't know. But Yeah, but what are your thoughts? Do you think with Celso going, we still need to keep some of our players, don't we?
Now, to your first point about it, it baffles me why Spurs didn't try and jeopardise the deal to Newcastle and offer Celso as part of the deal.
Yeah.
It's common knowledge it should have been done. It did. I just can't understand, because you're bettering the team by doing that. You're getting rid of somebody that, I know you mentioned it there, and from what I've been told and what I was speaking to somebody over, he's toxic, he's ignorant, he's arrogant. He's not liked. He's not, and that's not coming from the Athletic. It's not. He's just not liked at all. He's not. It's just his demeanor. It's like, look at me, I'm this and I'm that, and he's just not liked at all. He's not. So I think we should get rid of him. I mean, look, the key thing this window for me, and I know we've gone through kind of players ready, is to get 2 in and possibly 2 or 3 out that are poisonous to the club. To be fair, Dele's not as poisonous. I know when we were being hammered by Chelsea, he decided to fucking put a TikTok up with what kind of animal is he?
Animal, yeah, it was weird.
Drove me ballistic. It did. But then you have Dembele, who to me is the very same as Hassam Ghali. If you remember, he threw the jersey on the ground all those years ago, and he was never liked by Spurs. I think that was his last time actually playing for Spurs. Yeah, it was when he threw the jersey down. Him strolling off in the FA Cup was pretty much the very same as that to me.
Yeah,
it was, because it showed complete disrespect to the badge, to the fans, to the club, to everything. So as for him, I want him gone, and I never again want to see him in a Spurs jersey. I don't care how good he is. He hasn't shown he's good. 60 million, 60 minutes for 10 games? No, get rid of him. Good luck. With Lo Celso, I'd like him gone purely on the fact that, from what I know, he's just poisonous. And we need to get that type out of the club. We do.
Yeah, I think there's unpopular and there's poisonous. HG, your thoughts on Lo Celso in or out, and Guimarães, like my team in Brazil is Atlético Paranaense, and that was who Leon signed him from. So I'd have loved for Spurs to sign him, but like I didn't even think about it until Paddy said it. Go on, HG. You're Lo Celso in or out?
I think it's weird. Remember when Jose was in charge and there were all these leaks and everyone thought it's Harry Winks that's doing it, right? Do we not think it might be in Harry Winks' interest to share a few rumours about how Lo Celso is really unliked? No one likes him. It's definitely not me. I think he's amazing. But that's a joke. Clearly, I don't know anything about Lo Celso's personality or how Winks feels about it. But it is. I don't know. I like Lo Celso as a player. I quite like him. I know he's not done much for Spurs, but he, again, like a lot of our players that we've signed in the last couple of years, has spent a lot of time out injured. Doesn't matter whether they were Poch signings or Mourinho signings or Hitchin signings or whoever. In the last 2 years, we've signed players that tend to get muscle injuries, and so it's harsh. But yeah, like if Conte doesn't want to use him and isn't going to use him, and we saw from the last game against Chelsea where he wasn't even in the squad, there's a very good chance that's the case. And if that's the case, then you try and use it as a piece. Like, if someone wants him, if Leon wants him, either to buy him or on loan or whatever, you try to do what you can. So it's a strange one, because I don't know enough about the midfielder that's going to Newcastle to know if he would be good for Spurs. But if they want to bring in Lo Celso as a replacement, then what does that tell you about the guy who's leaving? Is he like Lo Celso? It's very odd, but. I'd be happy for him to stay personally, but if the manager doesn't want him, then he will go as well.
Yeah, no, I'm in the Lo Celso camp still as well. The news that he's unpopular, let's say, it's maybe losing Coco. Coco means shit in Portuguese, so Coco. It's Lamela may have.
Wait, hang on a second. Coco means shit in Portuguese.
Coco.
Yeah, but the name of Lamela. Makes all sense to me now.
I thought that took a while for you to cotton onto that.
I'm sure that's his nickname. That's why he got the nickname. Has to be.
Right, there's a super chat from David Harris here, but don't forget, everyone, we're better off with ENIC than when they brought us. Expiration date of that tied odd argument is January 2025. So hang on, David Harris is giving us till 2025.
What's so special about 2025 is
No, Davo doesn't like the fact we have this WhatsApp group that we're a part of, and Davo doesn't like the fact that we all think his reasoning for hating ENIC is so ridiculous that we can't take it seriously. And so now he's come back rather than answer Steve Diver's question of would you rather go back to 2001 or would you want what we've got now, which Davo didn't answer and refuses to answer because we all know that he knows he'd rather be where we are now than what we were in 2001. So he tries to shoot the messenger because he can't shoot the message. That is Davo to a T. Enjoy your beach, mate. But you can spend all the money you want. I will sit here and tell you that you're an idiot happily. Okay? Thanks, Dave.
Be nice. Dave's not an idiot. Love Dave. Love Dave. And also, big shout out to Stephen Gathuku, who's watching us from Kenya. Amazing. His comment is he's in Davo's camp. Daniel Levy needs to understand this is a football business, not real estate business. Strengthen the team and do the rest when the team is already strong. Hear, hear. Thank you for watching, Stephen, all the way from Kenya. Love it, mate. Also, if you're watching us from any parts of the world that's not the UK, do give us a shout and we'll get your comment up. And Australia, Davo, we know you're in Australia. And as Caller says, 208 people watching. Let's get some more likes, please, guys. Just give it. It takes you 30 seconds, not even 2 seconds, to flick that like, and it really helps spread the word and supports the channel. One other outgoing, Brian Hill, possibly to Valencia. James, I'll come to you. It's been a while. James, he's not really kicked on as he, Brian, and as I've said, we've only seen him in fits and starts. He had that little clip of him in the Chelsea defeat at Stamford Bridge in the Cup, where he roasted someone on the left wing. That's it that I've seen from him. I'm trying to think of other bits from him. It just hasn't worked out. Is there a future for him at Spurs, do you think?
It's too soon to say, really. I mean, he's young. I don't know. I don't really get the whole loan to Valencia because, well, we already know he can play well in Spain. So surely he needs a loan in this country to toughen up, or at least just play in the league, even if it's the Championship. I don't know. It's hard to say because we have a lot of wingers, but then he seems like the only real backup to Son. There's obviously a good football player in there. It's just a question of, does Conte want to develop that player, and can he be that player he was in Spain, in England? I'm not sure, but at the same time, it is tough to show your potential as a player when you're not playing very much. The system, you're playing on the wrong side, so the system doesn't really suit you. And also, move to a whole new country, new language, not playing enough games, really. So I think it's kind of awkward to say, he's crap, he's not good enough yet. Now, if Conte thinks that, fair enough. He knows more than I do. But I don't know. I think if you're going to loan him, you have to loan him to someone in the country, otherwise you might as well give him the odd game here or there.
It doesn't make sense because he apparently he does need to bulk up, and so sending him back to Spain where he was originally, where the competition isn't as fierce as it is in the UK or in the Premier League. Does that make sense? HG, is it the right move for him to go back to Spain on loan? It just doesn't sit right with me.
Well, if he's not going to play for Spurs and he needs minutes, and Valencia are the only team that's offering it, then sure. There's no point sticking him in the under-23s. He's not going to learn anything there. So, it almost increases the idea of maybe having some kind of feeder club system in England, where we could say, right, we've got links with the team in the Championship, strong links, and he can go there and maybe play there. Or because again, it makes no sense for someone like Southampton or someone like Brighton to give him minutes unless they're going to, unless they have the opportunity of signing him long term. If they don't, why would they do it? It is a strange one because even under the system that Nuno was playing, there was no obvious place for him in that side with the narrow front three. So I actually feel sorry for him because everyone's sitting there going, we've not seen him do anything. Well, he's barely had a chance to show us anything. He only started 3 or 4 conference or Carabao League Cup games. He's not had a chance to play with the good players. It's very strange.
If he was doing it in training, then he would get that chance. Surely, no.
Well, yeah, you'd like to think so, but look at the managers we've had who've played their favourites consistently, and that's going back to Pochettino, right? Like managers do tend to stick with what they trust, and if they don't think that he's going to do the job that's being asked of him, and if he doesn't himself suit that system, then I can understand it. But it's really tough to show the manager that you're really good at being a narrow winger. When Son, Lucas, and others are there as well, it is weird. Like you want to give him those minutes because you know obviously we've invested money, so we want to see it. But if the manager is deciding that I don't want to, I'd rather give those minutes to Lucas. What's he going to do? He needs to play football. If Spurs are getting anything from him, he needs to play football. And if Valencia is that team, then so be it.
Yeah. But apparently, this is hot off the press from our ITK. Lampard has taken the Everton job, and that is confirmed. Just like Adama Traore is confirmed.
I was just about to say it.
That's what I was going to say.
Sorry, God, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Right, where were we?
Interesting.
Tanganga and Rodon. Paddy, I'll come to you. Let's start with first. Hold on,
Sorry?
or let him go.
As in Tanganga and Rodon.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm amazed Rodon hasn't got a go yet. When he's come in, he's actually done quite well. He hasn't done as bad as kind of people expected. And when he plays for Wales, he does very, very well. He does. Now I know some games he can be up against the likes of Estonia and all the kind of the lesser teams in it, but in the big games he's held his own. He has. Again, I say a championship he'll end up, if he ends up anywhere. He will. But then what happens if either Dyer or Sanchez, or if one of our centre halves get injured, we need backup. So it's kind of a catch-22 situation. With Tanganga, I'd loan him out. He's been found out big time for the past couple of games.
Yeah.
He has. And I hate to say it. I mean, I remember his first game, was it against Liverpool, I think?
Yeah.
He had Salah in his pocket. And all of a sudden, people were going, the new Ledley King, the new Gary Mabbutt. Again, fans just getting overexcited after one game. Every player can have one good game. That doesn't make them a world beater. It doesn't. So, and for the past couple of games, and look, I don't like kind of slating young fellas either, but he's been very, very poor. He definitely needs a loan. Out of between the two of them, between Rodon and Tanganga more so.
A loan or a sale?
A loan. Oh, Jesus, I wouldn't sell him. No way would I sell him.
Neither.
No, I wouldn't sell him. I mean, he's definitely one for the future. I mean, look at what being on loan for a year with Norwich did to Skip. He grew from a kid into a man in the space of a year.
Mm-hmm.
He can hold his own now. That's why it'd be the very same with Brian Hill. I'd love to see him go to a championship team where he gets 7 kinds of shit kicked out of him most games. Yeah. But it would toughen him up. And he would. So Rodon, I would say I can't see him leaving anyway. I can't. Tanganga, I would put on loan, definitely. But only on loan, with no option to buy, just a loan. But it has to be the right team as well. It does not just a team who hoofs the ball up the field like a Millwall or anything like that. It has to be a team that actually plays ball as well.
HG, of those two, which would you least like to see leave? Or would you be happy with both of them going on?
It's probably similar to Paddy, if I'm honest. Look, if someone wants to offer money for Rodon, I'd sell him because he's not getting any game time. He didn't do it for Jose. He's not going to get minutes for Conte. So if someone offers money, then you take that money and you reinvest it maybe in someone that will play minutes for Conte. Tanganga is in that weird situation where you think, okay, he's homegrown. So is Rodon, of course. But like Tanganga is like, he's the local boy. You want to see him do well. But as a career, for his career, he needs minutes. He needs to play regular football. He's never done that for Spurs. He's not doing it for Spurs. There's no prospect of him doing it for Spurs because we're looking at signing other defenders. So for the good of Spurs, the good of Tanganga, he needs a loan. it's a weird one because again, if you do that, then in that case you probably do need to get someone in on loan to cover that. Are there other centre backs at the club at Spurs who could take that on? Maybe Pascozzi has looked decent in pre-season. Never played for the first team, I don't think, but like maybe there's another youngster. You've got the the guy, is it Lyons Foster? There's a couple of double-barreled surnames that play at the back. Maybe there are other people that could do the job that Tanganga is as this. If 2 or 3 defenders are out, then I can come in and play okay. But for Tanganga's career, he needs regular football.
John?
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree about Tanganga. He definitely needs to go on loan and get some game time. James and I saw Rodon playing against Morecambe, and he was shaky, I have to say. I was really disappointed with him. We both watch a lot of Wales games, and for Wales, he's decent, and he quite often plays left of the 3, whereas Conte said that to him, he's the central backup to Dyer, but when Dyer was out, he didn't play, which was a bit more concerning. I would have probably played Rodon ahead of Tanganga in some of those games.
He was injured when Dyer was out.
Right, okay. But right, okay. Probably been beaten up by the Morecambe strikers. But yeah, he was shaky. The first goal was stemmed from a mistake between him and Galini. And I think, unfortunately, he probably needs to, be sold, or if there's a loan move to get some game time for him to build his confidence back up, maybe. But I don't see where he'll go. In the summer, Brighton were heavily linked, especially as they sold Ben White. But that's gone very quiet now. So I'm not sure where he would go other than the loan.
How about you, James? You do Tanganga or Rodon appear on Football Manager? Which of them has a better record? So like decades since I've played Football Manager. So what's the lowdown there?
Well, neither of them are brilliant. So if I was wanting to win anything with Spurs, I probably wouldn't play either of them. I think both of them probably need loans because I think there's a player in both of them, especially Tanganga. But again, it's kind of hard for any player to come into the team after not playing and be thrown into a big game to expect them to play particularly well. I mean, I don't know again where either of them go. I'd have thought Swansea would take Rodon on loan, maybe. I mean, if Brighton wanted him, that'd be brilliant for Rodon, I think, because that's the perfect kind of team for him to play in, to get some games and to learn how to play football, basically. But I don't know. Yeah.
I saw rumours of Newcastle wanting Dan Burn of Brighton. So if another centre-back leaves, then you might, maybe Rodon's got another chance to get down there. But Brighton have a pretty good loan system. They've been loaning players in the Championship for a number of seasons. I think one of their guys went out to Italian football, to Serie A. So they might have someone in-house already. But yeah, like I don't know. It's really strange. Like, James, is there anyone on Football Manager that you think we really should go for? Because like obviously they have their Wonder Kid system, so you might know names that none of us have ever heard of, and I'd be interested to see. Like, who can you tell us?
Who can I tell you? Oh, I'd have to get my actual list up I've written down because I don't have it.
He's got a list. This is brilliant.
Give me a minute.
This is preparation, guys. This is what we should be doing with our lives. But full-time student has maybe a bit more time than us.
Well, I also work, so.
Super chat quickly.
I'll go get my list.
Which is to Bob Spur and his family. Bob Spur looks like he's back home. He was tweeting today, so he looks like he's on the way to recovery. It's great to have you back, Bob. Great to have you back on the channel, and for us to come on your channel as well. You're the loveliest guy, and so we're glad you're fighting Bob Spur.
Absolutely. Despite the fact that Caller's partner had another girl, Caller made the tea apparently. The news about Bob Spur is the best news of the window. Even if we go and sign 4 players on Monday and go crazy, the news about Bob Spur is the best news of the window, because he came out. I think he tweeted today to say that they started to plan his funeral because things were that bad. So to see him where he is, and he said he's got a long way to go. But Bob Spur, you've been on our channel, we've been on yours. We really, really do hope that you get well as soon as you can, and take your time, mate. Okay.
Yeah. Jamie, any word? But before Jamie pulls up his binder of football knowledge, Paddy, one we didn't talk about earlier as a possible incoming. Gareth Bale,
No. No, would you believe I've actually the word Bale muted on Twitter? I have, yeah. No, to be fair, I muted it about 5 or 6 years ago. So once he left him at or whenever it was, and then as the room was starting to circulate again, I just went, I can't keep on seeing this now. So I just muted it. So I actually missed all the announcements when he did sign when he re-signed. I missed everything because I saw nothing with Bale. I didn't. But no, he's not going. No, he's not. I'd much prefer now to spend 600,000 or 400,000, I think they were paying the last time, on a good quality, decent player than Gareth Bale for 1 year, because that's all you'd really get out of him. And would you even get a year out of him? I know you still have fans that will say, geez, I'd love him back. That'd be brilliant. No, not a hope.
It's a nostalgic signing if we were to make it. So we didn't have any fans in the ground when he came back the second time. So it was frustrating. But
that's the thing with Spurs fans. They tend to stick on some players that they just hope he's eventually going to come back to the club. And 10 years later, a player isn't going to be the same as they were when they left. But it's just, as you said, it's just that nostalgia of them kind of coming back. No, I was delighted he came back. I was really happy he came back. But no, not this time. And I can't see it happening either, to be honest.
This one, Dembele, he released a statement recently that not our Dembele, Osman Dembele, I think it is. He looks really pissed off with Barcelona about how he's been treated. He scored against us because, of course, he has, because we're Spurs in the Champions League. I don't know. I've not seen too much other than that goal, which was well taken. I've not seen too much of him. HG, would you roll the dice because we gave him on a free?
No, I wouldn't. Despite the fact that he's still quite young and he's clearly got talent, he's had injury problems in the past. He's seen as being a bit of a bad egg. Barcelona want him gone. Yeah. Dortmund weren't happy with him when he left to go to Barcelona. He basically downed tools and wasn't going to play for them again until he got his move. There's a lot of history there and there's a lot of baggage. Is he a good player? Yeah. But it's not a position of need for Spurs. Not really. So, I'm not. I don't really want that to happen. Again, it's one of those things. Like if we think we'll do it for 6 months and just see what we get, but there's no reason for Spurs to do that. So I don't really want it to happen. There's only one Dembele in my Tottenham heart, and I don't want to have another. Like I'm quite happy. Musa is the only Dembele I ever really want to think about when I'm thinking about Spurs.
You know they retire numbers. We'll retire the name. Just no more Dembeles. There is only one Dembele.
Yeah, maybe Dembele was worried, like because when Sissoko joined, suddenly Musa went to 1S. He's like, I don't need a second Musa. It might dilute the name. I'll go down to 1S and be the only real Dembele. But what a player, man! Like that, he was just class, absolute class.
When he left, that was the start of our downfall.
Yeah, that team. I mean, it was run into the ground by Poch, and it just fell apart. And we were trying desperately to get back to those days. So, how are we getting on, Jamie? Like, how's your? What were we waiting for him, by the way, as well?
No, I mean,
go on, Jay.
Well, I have a series of players. Okay,
I love this. I'm so excited.
Trust players that I use in my team and I trust. Okay, so they aren't just some 19-year-old Brazilian kid who might be the next Messi. Because I like players that I know are going to do a decent job for me. Because I'm one of those people. So Jeremy Doku, Now, obviously, my save is like 7-8 years in the future, so I don't know who he's actually playing for in the real world at the moment, but he's a wide player. I think I started in Belgium, then moved to France. That might be what he did in Football Manager, not the real world. But he definitely played in Belgium at some point. Good, pacey winger. I rate him from what I can see in a video game. There's a player like Jacob Greaves, who I think, let me just check 2 seconds. He started on. I think he's playing for Hull at the moment, but he's a centre back. Who can also play on the left. I think he's pretty decent. Again, all of this coming from a video game. If they're terrible in real life, don't be annoyed at me. There's a Portuguese defensive midfielder called Samu, who's a bit like a better William Carvalho, because William Carvalho is not a very good football player. I don't rate him. But he's big. He'd be a bit like a Dembele player. Decent on the ball. Very tall. 6'3", chunky player. Would be worth looking at. There is Dam Foulon, who plays for Benevento at the moment. He's 21. He's a left back. Pretty quick. Maybe he'd be worth it. There's Ethan Lard, who I've just looked up, and I realised he's on loan from Man U, so we would never get him, but he's a right back who looks really good in the long term, so that could have been something worth looking at if he plays for Man U, so there's no chance we ever get him. He's just on loan. There's Jamil Siebert. I'm terrible at pronouncing names. He is someone I think I have in my... No, I don't. He's someone on my shortlist.
HG, are you Googling?
I am a little bit, yeah. It's like the thing is, he talked about Jacob Greaves, and I've heard that name before. A centre back for Hull City. So if that one was ever to come out, like he's only 21. Went on loan to Cheltenham for a season. Now he's been at Hull. Hull, I think, are doing quite well in whatever league they're in. League One, maybe, or is it it's the Championship now? Hull are in the Championship. Like it's like that. That's the type of knowledge that I love, because I don't follow the Championship, but that there are good players at that level, good young players who make the step up, and so someone like that would be fantastic if it ever came through. Go on. In the Championship, okay, and this is from actual real world knowledge, and I know he came through at Chelsea, but John Swift, he plays for Reading. He's only got 6 months left in his deal. He's always had consistent good numbers. He's a set piece taker. He's good at free kicks. We don't have anyone who's good at free kicks, right? Unless you want to see another one of bloody Harry Kane's free kicks. Only 6 months left in the deal. Attacking midfielder. You could probably get him for nothing. I mean, he's probably better than Harry Winks, so why not go for him?
He'll go to Palace then. In that case, that's their sort of market, isn't it? And they turn them into good players. Probably, but I don't know. You could get him for next to nothing. And I mean, worst case, he's crap, and we haven't really lost anything. He'd probably do better than half our team. So why not, right? These are brilliant ideas, and weirdly enough. Like, I mean, John Swift is not the youngest of players. Like, he's probably 26, 27. Yeah, 26. 26, okay. But, like, do you think that Fabio Paratici really knows about the Championship? Do you think he really... Like, there are rumours that we've been in for the other Hull player. Was it Lewis Potter? So, yeah, it's interesting. And to answer Dave's question, is there a loan with the option to buy? Yes, Dave, there is. It's realistic. You might learn something. You should play Football Manager, mate. Get involved in the situation. Try and be Steve Hitchin. It'd be amazing. I'd love to see that too.
Well, guys, let's look to wrap up. And before we do, a couple more reminders. Let's talk about football prizes very quickly. I got you off guard there, didn't I?
Yeah, we've got to find the picture. There we go.
Here we go. So the first prize available is from our glory years of 1995 to 1997. Spurs squad signed custom framed shirt. It's the Hewlett Packard pony shirt. It was my favourite pony shirt, and it was because it was my first Tottenham shirt, signed by the likes of Ian Walker, David Howells, Rolf Fox, Teddy Sheringham, Darren Anderton. I don't know how many tickets are left, but they are going fast. They're $5.95, but with your promo code POD10, you get a 10% discount. If you are a Patreon, you get a 3 for 2 offer, so you can triple your chances. Don't think it works that way, but I don't care. And you get 3 for 2 on your tickets, and essentially that pays for your Patreon for the month. Also, we would love you to join our Patreon for the cost of a pint, or not even the cost of less of a pint at the stadium. You can join us. There's lots of extra content. You join our match day chat and basically just chat Spurs shit with me, John, HG, and all the other Spurs cheese room nutters. The other prize that we have is ready, John. There are 2 tickets for the Tunnel Club at the Etihad for Man City against Spurs on the 19th of February. There are 199 tickets available originally. The cost is $3.99 a ticket, but again, with the promo code pod 10. I almost said 10 cheese. You get a 10% discount. This promo code works on all their prizes as well. There's some really good prizes. There's a Nesta. Was it Antonio Nesta? Was that his first name?
Yeah.
Alessandro.
Sorry. Yeah.
And what else is there? Let's have a quick look. There's worldwide shipping as well. There's £200 worth of gift cards. There's a Premier League darts prize. There's a Usain Bolt signed replica medal, a Toshiba 65-inch TV. There's loads of prizes available. And with that pod 10 discount code, you get a 10% discount. And if you're a patron, you get 3 for 2. That's everything on football prizes, I think. Covered everything? Haven't I? Yes, great. And let's also talk about what will be a marathon cheese room broadcast on deadline day. Monday night is our deadline day. So 5 hours of us talking about all the signings we may or may not have made in the show. We have loads of guests starting at 7 p.m. UK time. We're bringing this show from 4 continents. And so lots of people to join, hosted by myself and Shan. Shan will start off the first leg, a bit like Live Aid. But there'll be lots of celebrities joining. When I say celebrities, I mean the regular podders. So there'll be Franco, Seb, Paul Muir, Aviva, HG, John, Davo, Steve Diver. Mickey Hazard has also said that he'll be joining us. So we're working out the time that he'll join as well. There'll be several patrons joining as well. James Marcus Kerry, JP, making his debut. Aussie Shy, plus guests Cody Mack and Holly Agomba. Sorry, Holly.
Winks. Holly Winks. Just call her Holly Winks.
Agomba. It's not that hard to say, isn't it? Agomba. There, I said it now.
You should have drunk more, Brendan. You'd say it then.
So do look out for that. It's going to be a mammoth show.
Hopefully this guy will be back. There he is. Unfortunately, he couldn't be with us tonight. The butler overcooked the lobster, and he was very upset.
I love Steve. I just a cuddly badger. Love him. John, thanks for joining, mate.
Yeah, it's been great, mate. Just another one, please. Can you give us a like, subscribe? It helps us in the long run and helps us bring better content and everything. So please hit the like button, subscribe, and you'll get notifications when our next show's on. And see you on Monday night at some point.
At some point, you organised it.
Wow. I might be working, so I may not be. That's why I'm a question mark on the runs.
Okay. But yeah, so I guess it'll finish, or is it like 7 p.m. start till about 11? Because that's when the window closes, right?
Midnight. Because
you've always midnight. Okay.
At the last one, HG, the big news of Cameron Carter-Vickers going to Celtic came through at 11:50. So we've got a special quiz that Seb's written a couple of quizzes. Davo's written a lovely Enoch quiz, specifically for Mr. Diver, I think. And one of the quizzes will be in the last hour just to keep it going.
All right.
Hey, thanks for joining, man.
Yeah, no problem. I'm super excited for Monday. It's going to be a long weekend, hoping that something happens for Spurs. But Monday night, I want to believe that something positive will happen. Even if it means Joe Rodon going on loan to Rangers or whatever that would be. But I've enjoyed my time tonight. Thank you.
There's got to be something.
Can I just sorry, I've just seen a comment, so I've just looked it up. It's about someone said about looking up for Romano's Kulusevski tweet. There you go.
Here it is.
You got it. Kulusevski deal. Tottenham are offering a loan to buy option clause that could become mandatory under certain conditions during 6-month loan, around 30 million euros. Juve have not accepted yet, as they're asking for 100% mandatory clause. So that means compulsory buy of around 40 million euros.
Okay.
So again, with 10 million out, seems to be our golden number.
And Juventus are probably just trying to make sure they can get what they want, right? Because they know that we're maybe a little bit desperate. But loan to mandatory or loan to if we play you enough, then we'll sign you. Like if he gets injured, then I guess that's probably what Spurs are trying to do. Like if Kulusevski gets injured on loan at Spurs and we have to buy a guy who's is rehabbing his knee, then that would be a bit odd. So hopefully they'll come to some agreement. Because if Juventus keep on signing players, they'll need to get rid of Kulusevski. But yeah, oh man, it's going to be a nightmare weekend. Turn Twitter off. Just get on with your lives.
Go outside.
Go
for a walk.
Good.
Go for a walk, yeah. Don't let Spurs consume your day, consume your life. Don't let it. Don't let it. Just let it go.
I mean, he does say that, but he does live literally 200 yards from a really beautiful beach, so he's very lucky, James.
That's true. Jamie, mate, thanks for everything. Thanks you for the expert football manager knowledge. Yeah.
No worries. Happy to share my huge football brain with the world. If I can enlighten just a few of you, it's worth it.
Oh, brilliant. And Paddy, making your debut, you were superb, mate. Thank you so much for coming to get back.
No problem. It was enjoyable. It was.
Well, I'll be in Limerick as well sometime this year, so I'm looking forward to watching the Spurs game with you, man.
Yeah, let me know. We'll tie up.
So please remember to like, subscribe, comment, and we will see you all on Monday. And as ever, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.